Welcome to the Research Works podcast, live from the European Academy of Childhood Disability Conference 2024 in Bruges, Belgium. Join us for interviews with keynote speakers, world-renowned researchers and clinicians, and behind-the-scenes stories from one of the great paediatric conferences in the world.
Now I have the absolute pleasure of speaking to an old friend, again, someone I've spoken to online before, but now finally in person, Professor Hercules Leite. Hello and welcome.
Hello. Thank you. I'm very glad to be here and to meet you personally.
I know, it's
finally.
So lovely. It's so great. So thank you for being here. Look, you've just presented, just to remind everyone, Hercules is from Universidade Federal de Minas Gerais. Brazil.
Yeah. Great.
Everyone's so kind.
Your Portuguese is great.
Oh, my Portuguese is great. And you presented a paper that's titled A Context-Focused Approach Combined with a Modified Sports Intervention for Children with Cerebral Palsy, a Feasibility Randomized Controlled Clinical Trial. I love that. So much to love about it. So before we get into some questions, can you give us a bit of a snapshot? I know it's really hard to do that in 60 seconds or so, but a bit of a snapshot about what you presented.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this paper is about, this is a feasibility randomized control trial where the idea were to put together two interventions, a modified sports intervention, called Sport Stars,
yes,
and then the PrEP. The pathways and resource for engagement and participation, that is a type of context-focused intervention. So one intervention, Sport Stars, targets physical literacy.
Okay.
And the other hand, PrEP targets aiming to mitigate environmental barriers.
Okay.
So the idea is to put this intervention together to foster participation outcomes. And so our results, we show that when we put these interventions together, the preliminary results showed that the group Sport Stars and context-focused interventions reached greater outcomes compared to the group that received just Sport Stars.
Interesting. Yeah, that's really worthwhile investigating, isn't it? So who was in the study? Who were the participants?
Okay, so we included children with cerebral palsy, age 6 to 12.
6 to 12
years old.
Yeah. And what functioning?
And GMFCS levels 1 and 2.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah. Okay, so that's quite a good population to look at. Now, when you decided to put the two together, I always love knowing the backstory behind that because, yes, we know Sport Stars quite well, context-focused therapy, we all know quite well. What made you decide to put the two together?
Yeah. So this idea came up actually because, as you know, countries, low and middle-income countries, face several challenges. And we have seen that in general, children with cerebral palsy present lower levels of participation. But when you look to countries, low and middle-income countries, this situation, it's a little bit worse. Yeah. Because we have attitudinal, we have architecture, we have financial, we have transportation issues. Yeah. So, and Sport Stars actually was first developed in Australia. Yes. And you guys from Australia, you have, we have different contexts.
We do, yeah. This is Georgina Clutterbucks,
and Georgina developed there. So we thought, no, we need to look in a different way. So,
I like that.
And trying to understand the family of related participation family, as we have intrinsic and extrinsic factors. The intrinsic factors we already know very well. They're related to the body. They're related to the preferences. They're related to physical competence. But when you look to extrinsic factors, we have the environment. Yes. Covering all the aspects of the environment. Yes. And you know quite well that these aspects can potentially influence participation. So that was the idea. Because we have facing several challenges and barriers in our context. And the idea was to put this intervention together and try to understand if you could look into this different way to go beyond and have different opportunities and interventions to offer.
Yes.
Because other thing that's quite interesting, because focus interventions are quite recent for us, and it's not popular.
Right.
Yeah, I think globally.
Yeah.
So
why do you think that is?
Yeah, I don't know. I think historically, our profession as physical therapists and we are very close to the body issues, as you know.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, the spasticity and the range of motion and muscle strengthening, and then we have been seeing that this is not enough. And we do need to move beyond. And look to the natural environment. So that's the point, to put these interventions together and investigate.
And again, that is such a big thing to do. I'm so glad you touched on that point about it, it's not that popular, because I think there's a lot of traditional thinking, how, we might have been trained earlier on. And you're right, it's about body structure and function. A lot of it is very, very hands-on. The picture of what a physio does is usually someone who's like right in there.
Hands-on.
Hands-on, manipulating, like trying to get a reflex or, trying to get a particular position for the pursuit of a perfect movement. But the shift away from that to kind of say, actually, how children learn, they need to problem solve themselves, they need to experience movement, stepping away. It looks so different to someone's picture and image in their head.
Exactly.
But the evidence is really headed in different directions. So I love that you have decided to tackle this on, straight on and try to show another way, which is... I think your team has been really instrumental in that. I've been following and watching the work you guys have been doing for many years, and you're not just seeing barriers. You're kind of looking for solutions, and it's very inspirational. Really great. So I've interrupted there. But so that intervention, the way that you've looked at that then is you're combining sports stars, which we know works, but now you're bringing in the context, you're bringing in the internal, the intrinsic and external factors that influence someone's ability to participate.
Exactly.
Does that take much more time to integrate that in? You need to build relationships with people, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was not easy to run that study. First, we had to, of course, to perform and apply for instruction from Dana and read the manual and understand the intervention. And then when we start doing preliminary, like a pilot study before to begin, we start identifying some barriers related, for example, to therapists thinking and families thinking, because look, what they're gonna do? It's intervention, really. So and after the end, and at the end, we realized that the families were more engaged, and more empowered.
So those are very important things.
More empowered. So, and that's the point, because the PrEP intervention, at the end, the final step is to empower family to keep going beyond. So when in the future they might face other challenges related to participation goals, they might be empowered to address the issues, the environmental issues.
Because I guess accessing a health professional is not always that easy and costly. So you're really empowering families to take that on themselves as well.
Exactly.
And so what was the dosage again? Remind me of the dosage. How often were you seeing these kids?
The dose actually was higher in the group that received PrEP and Sport Stars. So we might think, for example, Sport Stars, 60 minutes a week. And the other group, nearly, I would add like 30 minutes, because it depends on the week.
Sure.
At the beginning, we have a higher doses because we are structuring the team, we are building the goals, we are knowing the family.
Yeah,
we are
it's very
creating
realistic.
Yeah. But at the as the weeks follow, the doses decrease.
Okay.
Because they are start dealing and achieving and overcoming the barriers.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so what outcome measures did you use to really show these changes?
Okay, so as a feasibility study, we first investigated some feasibility outcomes related to satisfaction, credibility, resources, and so on, and of course contamination, because our idea now is to increase the sample size and now perform a more robust RCT.
Yes.
So we saw that the feasibility outcomes in general were very satisfied. But the idea was also to investigate the preliminary findings. Just to have an idea and also to help us calculate the future sample size. And then we investigated COPM, performance and satisfaction, family empowerment, and level of physical activity measured by actigraph measures, and physical literacy, the PLP Quest instrument, and PenCY.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah.
So quite a range for, I guess, what we call limited efficacy testing for feasibility, isn't it?
Yeah.
You really looked at still quite a range in the ICF.
Yeah.
And so all of them really were showing quite positive changes there. Was it pretty consistent? Was there anything that surprised you?
We identified changes related to COPM and family empowerment.
Okay.
But the others outcomes we didn't see any change. At first.
Yep.
And we have been discussing and looking at some similar studies. We have been seeing some consistency regarding the outcomes. So for example, if you have using instruments, they are straight, they are direct, and the family and the therapists know very well the goal that they're gonna achieve. That kind of instruments have been pointed as in general differences.
I see.
Compare, for example, to PenCY, it's a broad instrument and covers community, school, and house. It's difficult to find any difference in
it's so true.
In that very general and instrument.
Yeah. Oh, look, I feel like we've been talking about that as a very similar theme to a lot of researchers, even just today. You know, our interventions were, again, very good at being very specific. We know that we need to be specific, functional, something that is relevant for the child, so it's quite individualized within their own context and environment. And then we have a measure that measures like everything. So you kind of can't pick out what is made the difference or whether it's all smoothed out. Doesn't mean it's not important to measure. It's just we need to find the right kind of outcome measures.
Exactly.
Such a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. And pragmatic ones.
Yeah.
Outcomes that might be replicated by other clinicians.
Yeah,
actually.
that's right. Yeah.
Because feasibility outcomes, when you know that clinicians have a small amount, little amount of time to do evaluation, to perform evaluation, and so on. So we need to have pragmatic outcomes and that go straight.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It's a very good challenge. I feel like it's something I think about a lot to be able to capture that. But, you know, we also want to, I think the same as you. We want that, but we also want to protect the kind of measures that get used as well. So it's not too varied.
Yeah.
You know, you still need them to be robust.
Yeah.
So I think, that there's a lot of work to go when it comes to that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say now is the next step for you? I mean, I can probably take a guess given these results, but you tell us. What does it look like now?
Yeah. I think now, because these interventions in our university, we run as a research and as a community program.
Yes.
So we run that in parallel.
Yes.
So now thinking about the research and community extension, community program, we're going to add the PrEP intervention as a protocol, because we have been seeing, and we need that.
Yes. Yeah.
And talking beyond the research, because we are actually investigating and performing sports stars with children with EACD.
Okay. Fantastic.
And that population is quite different from the cerebral palsy in terms of opportunities in the community. Sure. I have been seeing more opportunities for children with cerebral palsy, especially because they now they are less prevalent compared to EACD.
True.
And at the end of the intervention, the sports stars, the families start asking us, and now where to go, what to do.
Yeah, that's right. Beyond the research. Yeah, I like that.
So now our anxious and my students' anxious.
We need to meet this need.
We need to do the PrEP intervention as adjunct.
Yeah, I love that.
To go beyond.
Gosh, it's very exciting. Now, I know you're involved in a lot of work, so I feel like I could talk to you for a very long time, but let's tee up another episode where I talk to you for about an hour. Next time about all of the other work.
Exactly.
But congratulations on everything that you've done, your team. Like I said, I follow you guys closely. It's so wonderful to see so much solutions to what looks like a lot of barriers, and also just really standing up for evidence-based practices. I do see you guys do that a lot, and I know there's a lot of challenges in your country with a lot of non-evidence-based practices being implemented, but we want to find the best for our kids, don't we? So it's so important. So congratulations on that. Thank you for speaking with us, to all of our listeners. I hope that was really inspiring for you as well. It certainly was for me. But we'll talk to you all again really soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.